trumpet sound. God help me teach this. If you just turn back a couple of chapters to chapter 2, right? In Joshua chapter 2, it's a whole lot of goodness in here. And I'm just going to read a lot of this because I don't know how much of this I'm going to be able to preach. But it says, and Joshua the son of Nun sent out to Shittim 2 men to spy secretly. Now understand that God already told Joshua, I'm going to give you this land. But Joshua said, okay, now, God said he's going to give it to us now. I want you to go spy out what's already mine. It's already ours, but I just want you to go take a look, see. All right, so he sends these spies out saying, go view the land, even Jericho. And they went and came into a harlot's house. These men of God went into a prostitute's house. I'm going to just pause. Her name was Rahab, and they didn't just come in and turn right back around. The Bible says they lodged there. In the prostitute's house all night long.
Come on, Pastor.
And it was told the king of Jericho, saying, behold, there came men in hither in the night of the children of Israel to search out the country. And the king of Jericho sent unto Rahab, saying, bring forth the men that are come to thee, which are entered into thine house. For they become to search out all the country. And the woman took the 2 men and hid them, and said thus, there came men unto me, but I wist whence they were, where they were. I don't know where they are. I'm going to read that again. But I'm going to read it in layman terms. The king said, look, this army is getting ready to take over our country. You are a part of us. And they went into your house. Send them out. So Rahab said, shh, y'all go hide under the bed. And then she went out to the king and said, yeah, they came. But I didn't know who they was or where they went. And then the Bible says, and it came to pass about the time of shutting of the gate, when it was dark, that the men went out. Whither the men went, I would not. I don't know. Pursue after them quickly and you'll catch them.
Come on now, Pastor. Tell the truth.
Rahab was smooth. The whole time she's hiding them in her house. Yo, get down. Then she comes out to the king and says, they left in the middle of the night and they went that way. If you hurry, you can catch them. Tell me she wasn't smooth. She told a bold-faced lie. She said, if you go quickly, you can catch him. And then the next verse says, but she had brought them up to the roof of the house and hid them with the stalks of the flax, which he had laid in order upon the roof. And the men pursued after them the way to the Jordan unto the ford. And as they were gone out, they shut the gate. And before they were laid down, she came up unto them upon the roof, and she said unto the men, listen very carefully, she said, I know the Lord has given you this land, and that the terror, your terror has fallen upon us, and all the inhabitants of the land faint because of you. For we have heard how the Lord dried up the water of the Red Sea for you.
Yes, come on now, Pastor.
There are people in strange places that have been watching what the Lord has done for you.
Yes.
There are people in all aspects of life that know your testimony. When ye came out of Egypt and what ye did unto the two kings of the Amorites that were on the other side of the Jordan, before you got here, we've heard about your victories at Eshan and Og, whom ye utterly destroyed. And as soon as we heard these things, our heart did melt. Neither did there remain any more courage in any man because of you, for the Lord your God, he is God in heaven above and in earth beneath. So she said, let me holler at you. Let me just cut this deal with you. Now therefore I pray you, swear unto me by the Lord, since I have showed you kindness, that ye will also show kindness unto my father's house, and give me a true token. I need you to make a mental note of a true token, because I'm going to shout all over this part. I just don't want to do it now because I'm going to lose my place. This is how I look when I'm trying to keep it together. All right. And that ye will save alive my father and mother and my brethren and my sisters, you know, and Pookie and them. That's just me adding that in. All my peoples and all that they have, and deliver our lives from death. And the men answered her, our life for yours, if ye utter not this our business. Don't be telling my business. And it shall be when the Lord hath given us the land, not if, but when, that we will kindly and truly, we will deal kindly and truly with thee. Then she let them down by a cord through the window, for her house was upon the town wall, and she dwelled upon the wall. Now she let them down by this scarlet rope, right? And I want you to see what the men said to her. And if you drop down to verse 18, it says, behold, when we will come into the land, thou shalt bind this same line of scarlet thread in the window, which thou didst let us down by. And thou shalt bring thy father and thy mother and thy brother and all thy father's house home unto thee. Now, they said the same thing that you used to let us down. The same thing that you used to help the people of God out with, even though you aren't a part of what we're doing right now, just because you did this. This true token is what we're going to be looking for when it's time to come back and bring the walls down. Lord have mercy.
Come on, Pastor.
Come on now, Pastor.
I'm starting to itch, y'all.
Come on now, Pastor.
I want you to think about what's happening here. When the battle is raging, she wanted to know, I want you to give me a sign. How do I give you a sign that I'm with you? I can't shout when the trumpet sounds and we're supposed to shout so the walls come down. I'm over here on the other side. I'm in a different position in my life. I'm in a different set of circumstances. I can't go up in there looking like a hypocrite. They know what I'm doing. They know I'm struggling with this. They know I'm struggling with that. I can't be a part of that right now, but I'm still with you. How do I give you a sign that I'm with you, even though I got to watch my back? When the battle is raging, I don't want God to get me confused with the people that I'm out here in bondage with. These are the people that's asking you to shout for. These are the people that are in the city. You see, because even though I'm a sinner and I'm surrounded by people that are sinners, the difference that I know who God is and they don't. You see, Rahab was saying, even though I've allowed my bondage to hinder me from shouting, it's never stopped me from believing. She said, I know. I might not be able to get to church as often as I should right now, but when the walls come down, I'm going to praise him like I done lost my doggone mind. But for now, I just need a token. Just a little sign to let you know that I'm with you and I'm coming. I might not be there yet, but I'm coming. I might not be able to shout like I know I'm going to be able to shout, but trust and believe, baby, I'm coming. I might not be all the way out of my bondage, but you best believe I feel change falling off. You best believe I'm not the same person I used to be. I may not be all I'm supposed to be, but I thank God that I'm not what I used to be. I need somebody to shout for me because I'm still in the city. Shout for me while I'm in the city. Something I need a token just to let you know that I'm on the Lord's side. I need to make sure you can still identify me when it's time to bring me out. What can I do to show the Lord that I love him, even in my weakness, even in my brokenness? How can I demonstrate my desire to be delivered, even while I'm still in my mess? How can I put myself in position to be free when the trump sounds? Is there anybody willing to shout for the people that are still in the city?
Oh yeah. Oh
yeah. In verse 18 of our text, when we go back to chapter 2, I love that part in verse 18 where after Rahab helped God's messengers escape by lowering them down out of her window with a scarlet rope, the Bible says they told her to leave the scarlet rope hanging out of the window and to gather up everybody that was important to her, because this rope would be a sign that her heart was still in the right place. You see, we got to be careful how we criticize people. I know that you know, there's a certain way that we're accustomed to seeing people demonstrate the fact that they're on the Lord's side. But sometimes it's just a matter of people showing you respect because of the God in you. I can remember many years ago, Pastor Monago and I, James Beanie, a few of us, we used to hit the streets on a regular basis. And I remember one time we went out to these streets and we were witnessing to some people, and we always went to the hood. And one guy he was leaning on his car, and he had the grill, he had the rope, and he had the bling. And people would come to him and he would point to go this way and point to go that way. So I said, well, I guess I should go talk to him. He had his beard and he had his boys, but I had our Savior. Had a very simple presentation. I said, listen, my name's John. I'm with a local church in the area. I said, I just want to take a minute and talk to you about Jesus for a minute. If you tell me to go, I'll turn around and leave right now. He said, listen, bro. I don't know how much talking I'm going to do, but I'll listen. He said, don't you go nowhere. He took his beer and he sat down. And I said, bro, you don't have to put that beer down for me. God was here long before I got here. He said, listen, this is something I want you to understand, and this is how I know that you can learn something from anybody, no matter where they are. He said, I respect the God in you. He said, because for you to come out here and come talk to me, there must be a God somewhere. I ministered to that young man about Christ, and he said, I'm ready to accept him right now. I said, let's pray. And then his boys, he called all of his boys over. He said, I want y'all to come listen to this. Tell him. I did my 5-minute sermonette about Jesus Christ. We all held hands and we prayed and accepted Christ together. The next weekend, we went out every Saturday, but the next weekend, I had a call from one of the people that were out there with me. He said, John, turn the television on. I cut the television on. He said, the guy that you witnessed to has been shot and killed. I said, okay, it's time to go back out there. We went right back out to the same place. And when we got there, there were news cameras everywhere. And as I turned the corner with my crew, the guy that was being interviewed turned and pointed at me and said, that's him right there. All of a sudden now, all of the cameras and the reporters, they come to me. They said, this young man, we heard that he had just given his life to Christ and was trying to get out of the game, and as a result was shot and killed. They thought he was an angel. So no, far from that. They thought it was an angel that came down and ministered to him, and he accepted Christ before he died. I said, no, it was just me. They asked me if I could go to his mother's house because she was distraught because she knew that her baby boy was out there in the streets, and someone had told her that he had accepted Christ before he died. So me and the news cameras and all the reporters went to this woman's house, and they had a house full of people there mourning. And I went in that house and told her the story of how her son not only accepted Christ, but he took some people with him. She asked me if I would preach his funeral. The next Friday, I preached his funeral, and it was packed with people that don't normally come to church. There was standing room only in that place. His name was Antonio Killaboo. They called him Cochise. I'll never forget it. There was not enough room at the altar when we opened the doors of the church and invited people to Christ. The whole city came. But I'll never forget the lesson that I learned from that man, Antonio Killaboo. When I tried to tell him you don't have to put your beer down, he looked over at that same beer and he kicked it over. He wanted to make sure that there was no misunderstanding, that just because he was out in the streets didn't mean that his heart wasn't receptive to the gospel. So one of the things that you have to see in verses like this, in our text in verse 18, after Rahab helped God's messengers escape by lowering them down in the window with the scarlet rope, the Bible says that they told her to leave that scarlet rope hanging out of her window and to gather up everybody that was important to her, because this rope would be a sign that her heart was still in the right place. They were saying, even though we won't be able to hear you shout when the trumpet sounds, we will know what you're saying, even though we won't see your dance, even though we won't hear your shout, we'll remember this covenant. You see, what you've got to understand about Rahab is that even though she was a prostitute, the Bible says she risked her life to be in covenant with God's people. Her current situation wouldn't allow her to shout with them when the trumpet sounded. You see, if you take the time to study this text, you'll see that in verse 15 of this chapter, the Bible says that she lived on the wall. That same wall that was about to come down. If you look at Joshua chapter 2, verse 15, it says, behold, when we come unto the land, thou shalt bind this scarlet thread in the window which thou didst let us down by, and thou shalt bring thy father and thy mother and thy brethren and all that dwells within thy house. Now I want you to get this. Don't miss this. She dwelled on the wall. It shall come to pass that whosoever shall go out of the doors of thy house into the streets, his blood shall be upon him. They got to stay with you. Sometimes the strangest people become the salvation of a whole family. They had to go into the harlot's house to escape destruction. How many of you know that God can provide sanctuary anyway? Amen. If you study the text, it says that her house literally was built into the wall. And so anybody who is willing to be real with me about this thing would have to admit that there are certain areas in our lives that when God shows up to set us free, we ain't always ready to shout about it because we're still on the wall. Yeah. We're still on the fence about whether or not we really want to be free. We don't know if we really want to let that thing go. We live on the wall. So don't think that just because I'm not shouting that I don't want to be free. Don't think that because I'm crying that I want to stay in my mess. You see, just because this situation where I'm at causes me to be silent, silence doesn't always mean consent. We got to be careful how we analyze other people's praise. So I want to leave you with this. You've got to understand, church. I've got to make sure you understand something here. You see, because the truth is, when you study this text in detail, you see that the walls, they were about to come down anyway. Rahab just had to show God that despite the state of her life, despite the state it was in that moment, the walls came down, she was still in covenant with him. And despite the fact that Rahab was a prostitute, Joshua 6 and 17 says that God led his messengers to her. Had they gone to any other house other than Rahab, they would have been betrayed and put to death without mercy. But Rahab covered them. And it's sad to me sometimes that the people in a sinful condition are sometimes better equipped to show mercy than even some of the people in God's house. This is a house of mercy. And I don't care what the label is on the door of any church. If there's not mercy in the house, it's not God's house. Give God some praise. Now, I'm going to let you all go. I appreciate your patience with me. For those of you who are visiting with us, we do a brief question and answer session after it's over. One of the reasons we do this is because I believe that it's important to make sure that we don't just shout and slap high fives and walk out of here not having learned something. I always teach that there's 3 levels of learning. There's the knowledge level, comprehension level, and application level. The knowledge level is when you know something and you can explain it, you can probably quote the scripture. The comprehension level is when you understand it and can explain it in such a way that other people can understand. You comprehend it. But the application level is what we're doing now. The application level is saying, yeah, Pastor, I know what you said, I comprehend what you said, but now help me apply it to my life, what I'm dealing with right now. And so I want to open up the floor. I'll take 5 questions, and we like to start with guests. And it looks like I've got one here. We'll even take some empowered believers, but we're going to take 5. So if you have a question or a comment, we're actually going to make sure everybody keeps your questions and comments brief, so that people walk away with everything.